on a schedule. So now I kind of have to record some more shit. But I was doing that anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, you read the title. I'm talking about dissociation. I'm going right into it. But since I was a kid, I've always suffered with dissociating. I have never been diagnosed with any sort of like neurodivergence, like no ADHD, no autism. I've been close to it, but I haven't been diagnosed. And I don't know. It's just since like I was a kid, I've always been very sensitive to like stimuli, and I just want to talk about my experience of like living in this way in which not just dissociating, but just in general being very insensitive to the things that most people are insensitive about, and how it affects my personal life and whatever. And I decided to talk about this because today, in like about 4 hours, I'm going to a concert. The second concert I've ever gone to. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm kind of shitting my pants right now. Because whenever there are like lights, like flashing lights and loud noises, my brain kind of just gets fried. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If you don't know what dissociation is, or if you haven't experienced it, it's basically when you have an out-of-body experience. Like, you're hanging around, imagine you're hanging around, maybe like at a party, right? And you're just having fun, you're not drunk or anything, you're just like there talking to people, and at some point, you don't feel like you're there. You're kind of like, your body's kind of on automatic, and your mind is like wandering. You feel out of place for a second, you feel like an alien in your own body. Well, that sort of weird like experience is what dissociation means, from what I understand at least. At least my psychologist has told me that's dissociation, and I'm following what he's telling me. And that usually can come from various sources. Some people get that because of trauma, because, you know, their body to protect them shuts down, so they dissociate. If you're neurodivergent, that can affect too, because, right, if you're very sensitive to certain stimuli, you're very prone to like kind of get overstimulated, and some people dissociate as a result of that. And there are a lot of other reasons. Since I was going to family meetings back when I was like fucking 6 years old, I remember like hanging out with my cousins, and at some point just being like I'm not here. Just going from lightheartedly talking to my cousins about some dumb shit to my facial expressions dying, my tone of voice becoming completely monotone, and my mind just kind of wandering, seemingly outside of my body, even though I know that's not true, but it feels like that. And I was so sensitive that just talking to like 2 people was enough. Sometimes even just one person with music in the back was enough for me, and I dissociated. I've gotten better with time because, well, you're forced to talk to people, right? You cannot just go fucking like talking to a single person every time during the rest of your life. Very difficult. So I started in a really rough position, and I've gotten better, but it is still something that affects my daily life a lot. Again, as I said, this concert, or for example, even though I have nothing against parties or drinking or the sort of like nightlife that most people enjoy, I have nothing against it, but it's just impossible for me. I've tried, and I can go to bars and whatever, but the moment I get to one of those events during the night with all the fucking flashing lights, the thumping of the bass and all of that, you know, I just can't. I get very anxious, I get overwhelmed, and if I push it too far, I dissociate, and that's like the worst case scenario. So that makes it very difficult to make friends. Because the truth is that, you know, we're social animals, and the most common way for us humans to socialize is through parties, which is fine. As I said, I have nothing against it. I don't want to vilify them. I don't want to be one of those guys that fucking say like, yeah, parties suck or whatever. No, they're fine. I'm sure they're super fun. If I didn't dissociate, I would probably enjoy that. But you know, it kind of sucks that I get along with people and I'm kind of friends with them, and then they invite me to parties and I never go, so I kind of lose that friendship, and it's kind of a recurrent pattern. And, you know, I sometimes kind of force myself to go, but I never enjoy it. So it sucks to lose friendships over that. over something that seems as petty as that, but actually it isn't petty, right? It's just like we share different ways of enjoying ourselves. And it was a big insecurity for me for a bunch of years, until like fairly recently, in which I realized something. Maybe for the viewer, this hypothetical viewer of this video, maybe it isn't as much of a revelation, I guess, as it was to me. But just realizing the fact that, I used to see partying and going to karaoke and that type of shit. I used to see it as some sort of like something apart from what for me are hobbies and things I do for fun. I thought that was something like superior to that. So not enjoying parties was sort of like missing out on a part of my life. And I thought that just because I didn't go to those sort of events, I was a lesser person. And then I realized like damn, I was hearing this couple of dudes talking about their experience at a party, just some goofy shit. One of them did like, oh yeah, he was doing this goofy shit and then he fell and whatever, right? Very slapstick shit. And I was like, they're talking about this with the same intonation, the same like way, just the way they're handling themselves talking about this is the same way I talk to my friends, or some friends talk about other friends. It's the same way people fucking talk about them going to the movies. And then I was like, oh yeah, parties are not this pillar of what makes a person a person. It's just another way of entertaining yourself, just as video games, movies, or just walking around is. And, it probably took me way too long to realize that. But well, I did realize it, but there's a difference between knowing it and like actually feeling it and believing it. And it is until now that I believe it. Parties shouldn't be like this obligation. Most people enjoy it because, most people aren't like me in that sense that they get overwhelmed that easily. But even then, it's just a hobby. And, I always felt bad about losing friendships because I thought that it was because I wasn't enough. Right? Instead of thinking that, it's fine. Like, sometimes you get along with people, but you just have very different tastes. So you don't really have much in common. And that's fine. And coming back to this dissociation thing, I want to tie it with the whole party thing. Because, again, the truth is that parties are very beneficial when it comes to socializing. Because not only do you meet a lot of people there, you can also potentially find a partner and whatever. And besides the fact that I cannot handle that sort of like setting, I also cannot really deal with big groups in general. As I said before, I could barely deal with one person, and I've gotten better. My limit right now of like a group of people that I can deal with comfortably is around 6 people. I can deal with like a frenetic group of 6 people and I'm fine, like just barely there. More than that, and I start to get a little crazy and kind of like my brain starts to kind of get fried. I tend to overheat. But in general, I've always seen myself as a sort of like PvP sort of person, like a sort of 1v1 type of guy. The fact that I'm using a video game reference makes me look like even more of a fucking dweeb, but I kind of doing this on the fly, so I'm just going to run with it. But yeah, I'm more of a sitting with a single person. I genuinely think that if I sit down with like a single person in a room, right, for like an hour, I will most likely become a friend with this person. Like I get along well with people, and it's very easy for me to make friends when it's just like me and another person that I can concentrate with, because it's more of a controlled environment, and I tend to manage it better, and I don't get overwhelmed as easily. So finally you'll see what I mean by dissociating and making friends, and how it fits in this video. It's about that, because it's kind of difficult for me to make friends in a group environment because of 2 things. First off, I cannot control it as much, and I know that sounds like a very control freak sort of thing, but I don't know, I can goof around and I can joke around, but I think I do much better when it's like a thread of conversation and I can just lead the conversation and go, with a certain topic in mind, with a train of thought, and just follow that. I do a lot better in that. And also I kind of dislike Even though I like the high speed environment, and maybe you want to share some insight about something, maybe talk about something you're passionate about, it sucks because I feel that I have to summarize everything into a single sentence, or if not, people will just get bored, or they will change the conversation, or they will just not pay attention, and I dislike that. I would say that most of us are like that, but I have met a bunch of people that aren't like that. I've met a bunch of people that, yeah, even if they excel at like just having a single person, they're very good at the group environment. They're very good at like bouncing off and just making a good impression at everyone. And for me, I'm not like that. When it's a big group, I just, the more people there are in the group, the more I become like the fucking shadow, the ghoul of the place, and just don't talk, and I just keep to myself. I'm not so much of a talker as much as I am a listener, I guess, because I just enjoy hearing people's stories and hearing their opinions on random fucking shit. But I'm rambling a lot. It was supposed to be about the concert. So if I were to summarize this in a short way, I would say that first, I struggle bonding with people because we do not share the same interests, mostly because I cannot handle the settings they enjoy, which so happens to be the environments that most people like. So it complicates things a little bit because it means that you have to find a group and then find a way to kind of single out someone and get them into a space I am more comfortable with. And also, it also affects the fact that if you watch my previous videos, you know that I've struggled with anxiety and depression. So of course that affects a bit, but it's gotten better. It's gotten better. I still kind of get overwhelmed. I'm very sensitive, but now I don't get as scared. I don't have breakdowns, which is great. So yeah, I'm working on it. If you share some sort of experience that's like mine, or if you wish to like inform me about anything, or in general, if you have anything you want to say about this, you want to say you're an idiot, this is actually how it works, I would appreciate you telling me in the comments. So I hope you have a nice day. I will certainly try to have a nice day, especially considering that this concert I'm very hyped for. So yeah.